So we can never cheat karma. We can cheat other sentient beings. We can bully our way to worldly success. But we can never cheat the law of karma and its effects. Because causes bring their concordant results. So there's nobody we can appeal to change the rules. There's no voters who can make it different. There's no high authority to excuse us. But simply our minds create causes. We act on those intentions, those mental causes. We speak, we do physical things, and then we're the ones who experience the results that concord with the kind of causes that we created. So it's very important to bear this in mind all the time so that we really monitor our motivations and then monitor our actions of body, speech, and mind. And in that way, we can create the causes for happiness and abandon the causes of suffering. So the Buddha gave us this kind of advice. We've heard it many times, but it's really up to us to put it into practice because we're the ones who create the causes for our own experiences. And so with a mental attitude of compassion for the complete craziness going on in the world, let's have a determination to think, to speak, to act with kindness, with consideration for others, with integrity ourselves. And in this way, may we advance on the path to full awakening, where we can share what we've learned and what we've practiced with others in order to benefit their lives as well. So having watched the hearing a good part of the day, I thought I personally need to digest it. And so I thought about talking about it now because for me it was one big Dharma lesson. Yeah. So Venerable Chuni set the stage for it this morning with her motivation about just seeing how affliction, can just take over people's minds and make everybody crazy. So the morning part, people in the hearing, they were polite. Yeah. the many people praised Dr. Blasey for her courage in saying things. She responded to the questions exactly as they were asked. If it was a yes or no question, she said yes or no. If it was a reason question, she explained it. She was very articulate. Of course, sometimes it was emotional, quite painful to relate that kind of thing to an international audience. But I felt she did very well, and I was very impressed with the senators who really supported her courage of being able to say what she said. And then, after her testimony ended, then Kavanaugh came in, and the energy was like day and night. He came in angry and I kept thinking, judges are supposed to not be political, but his whole opening talk was political. It was blaming the Democrats for bringing this issue up at the last moment. Although it had come out in the morning testimony, why the evolution and why it hadn't come out earlier. But the Republicans ignored that and repeated the same old story that they were doing this at the last minute as a political move. But what really shocked me was the way people talk to each other. Yeah. A few of the senators said this hearing is a disgrace, meaning that Kavanaugh was such an excellent candidate, and this was smearing his reputation, and that was a disgrace for the Senate. I thought the afternoon part was a disgrace, but for a completely different reason. Yeah. They were shouting at each other, especially Graham, the senator from South Carolina, just blew his top, criticizing people, broad criticisms. Kavanaugh's aggressiveness. People would ask him questions. He hedged on so many of the questions. It was so different than how she had said yes and no to those questions. And he kept repeating the same thing, which is the 4 witnesses said I didn't do it, which wasn't exactly true, because one of the witnesses, Mark Judge, gave a statement through his lawyer. One of the witnesses, two of the witnesses, actually the other 3 witnesses, none of them were in the room when it happened. And one of those witnesses, who said they all said they didn't have any memory of the party. They didn't say he didn't do it. They just said they had no memory. And one was her friend who said, I wasn't in the room, I don't remember the party, but I believe Dr. Blasey. So Kavanaugh's defenses, if you had heard and read things broadly, weren't exactly accurate. But what was being thrown around were just, all of them kept repeating the same thing, blaming the other side. Blame, 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 blame. And, people were so angry. It was mostly the Republicans speaking this time. The Dems didn't have so much in the afternoon session. But it really hit me that how some people, when people are angry and they talk loudly and they scream, then that makes other people believe them. Yeah, and that's Trump's strategy. That was Graham. What? Who's?
Sounds like Fox News. Fox News.
Fox News, you're saying. Okay. Sorry, I don't have my hearing aids tonight. Forgot them. So, where was I?
When people shout.
Yes, so when people shout, some people, that makes them believe those people more. For me, when somebody shouts and they're angry, I believe them less because it's very clear that their mind is under the influence of affliction. And the shouting, if anything, it impresses me the wrong way. Like, here's somebody bullying, manipulating, something like that. So I was thinking, how different the standard is for what we look at when we believe people, And then I was also thinking, what I think really made me feel badly in this is these are the people, the Congress, who are supposed to be governing the country. And like I said, it was mostly the Republicans shouting and screaming this afternoon. But it's like, how can you govern the country when you can't even talk in a respectful way to other human beings? Because I was always taught as a kid, you've got to say please and thank you and be respectful. Kind of that's bottom line. But how can you claim to have any authority on governing a country if you can't speak respectfully to other people? It is very puzzling for me, very puzzling. And so I was thinking of that energy, which was really, the energy was vibrating through the screen. And how our community, during the visit of Venerable Lomsel's parents, completely surrounded her mom and dad and grandma with love, made them feel at home. Their attitude was completely different today, leaving, than it was a week ago when they arrived. And I was thinking, when people come together in that kind of way, sincerely, because they care about others, you can do really wonderful things. But when people come together angry and critical like that, then for me, that's what it impresses me, but not in the way they want to impress me. It impresses me in the opposite way. Yeah. And so for me, especially watching the afternoon was a good teaching in how I don't want to be. Yeah. When people ask me questions, I would like to be able to answer them answer what their question is instead of hedging it or repeating the same thing over and over. When people disagree, I aspire to be able to express myself succinctly in a voice that that doesn't threaten them. Yeah. And I would also aspire to be quite firm that if you speak to me in that way, that's not going to fly. yeah, that you can speak however you want to speak, but if you want to communicate with me, it has to be in a different way. Yeah, that this kind of intimidation and even, who was it? Was it either Grassley or Graham today, who said to any Republican who doesn't vote yes is harming the country for generations to come. I don't want to speak that way to other people and threaten them. Yeah. So, sometimes seeing samsara in all of its living color really helps your practice in getting clear about how you want to act and how you don't want to act, and reinforcing our own determination to practice well and to monitor our body, speech, and mind. I have one more thing then. Yeah. So I was thinking, they're going to go ahead tomorrow and have a vote, and probably next Monday, the vote on the committee tomorrow, and the vote on Monday or something by the whole Senate. And he may get confirmed or he may not. But in any case, the issue has not been resolved. There's no harmony. They may get their conservative justice on the Supreme Court. But without harmony, what good is your victory? What is it they say? You win the battle, but you lose the war. So kind of like that, You got your way, but at what expense?
I did not watch either of the hearings today. And my experience in law is non-existent, but in my limited capacity, I would expect a judge to be able to present a factual case with clarity and with composure. Yeah. After all, that's kind of what they ask lawyers to do when they're presenting cases in their different courts. Mm-hmm. So if this judge who is being nominated for the Supreme Court is not even able to do that, one ponders what kind of court he might be running.
Yeah.
I did watch some of it, and this afternoon especially I kept thinking, why don't the Democrats all get up in mass and say, we can't do this because this isn't being done in a civil way, and we're not going to participate, and we're leaving now. That would have been so much more clear and powerful than what they did do. Yeah, I kept hoping somebody would stand up and do that.
Did you watch the very last question put to him?
No. Midway through the afternoon, I felt so sick watching it that I turned it off.
I caught that part of it.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember who the person was because I don't know these names. But he said to him, first of all, do you believe in God? He said, do you believe in God? He said, yes, I do. Kavanaugh said, yes, I do. Uh-huh. Then the fellow said, can you look me right in the eye and tell me in front of God and everyone here, did you not do this? And he said, I did not do this. He said, I believe that Dr. Blasey had an experience, but it was not me. So your motivation about karma, I thought for sure you heard that.
No, I didn't hear that. Yeah. So, yeah, to me it's even more now. Did he do it? Did he not do it? it's more, the afternoon was just politics. It wasn't a hearing. It was just politics. And I think that's what got to me more than anything. Yeah. You know, he asserts his innocence, but karma will, karma is karma. So you experience the results of what you create. I can't judge that, but I can look at the behavior around it and say, wow, that behavior is going to create some karma. You know, and if the accusation's true, then it certainly does too. Yeah. And she was quite convincing. Very painful for her and to watch.
I tried to watch part of the afternoon and I just couldn't bear the level of anger. I couldn't tolerate it. But something actually, it has really helped me in a way in it being so, still I cannot find an adjective to describe this. So what it was, that I finally realized that I've been following the news now for the last while. And you know, I go to confession and I think, I've been watching the news too much. And sometimes I'm sitting there reading, thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my precious human life doing this? And trying to answer for myself, what am I looking for as I'm reading the news? And I know I'm looking for somebody, I'm looking for Walter Cronkite to come out and tell me everything's going to be okay. Truly. And however I doctor it up, that's the bottom line. I'm looking for Walter Cronkite, who's long dead. And who knows what he was telling the truth back then, I don't know. But I was innocent then, and it brought some sense of security. And I finally, watching all of this, I don't know if he did it. I get that this man's life is destroyed. I don't know if she experienced it. I get that this woman's life is destroyed. I see that all of these people have so much at stake. Why am I putting my refuge in a government to think that I'm going to be safe? I've never trusted this government. I mean, not since I was I don't guess since Kennedy was shot. So I guess for me, in a practice sense, it's like finally putting down, I hope, this need to somehow rely on my government, rely on the ideals that I grew up believing in and what my country stands for and what it means and what our Constitution stands for and my role, my civic responsibility. Not that I'm going to stop that, but that some very deep-seated seed of expecting a refuge there has finally, I think, dissolved.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no external refuge in samsara. Forget it at all, period. But we still have to have our integrity and act with integrity and hold values and propagate values and not just fall into cynicism and say the whole thing's so screwed up, forget it. Yeah. Yeah. Are you saying that?
I'm not saying that.
Are you sure?
I'm 100%
I don't
positive.
know, because you didn't say those exact words 5 minutes ago.
Because I also believe in Buddha nature and the capacity of every living being to change and transform. So I'm in it for the long haul, but I'm not going to try to get comfort from it.
Yeah, there's no comfort in it at all.
I'm really concerned too about the international effect, because even in Germany I see a change in how communication is within politics. So, and America is power that people, all countries look upon. So, and the other thing is, I don't know what to think about the Guru Dharmas, but there's one part of it where the nuns have some kind of power when the monks misbehave, and they can reject them, not accepting them to teach and such. So what I see, there's some kind of, to say, movement going on, that the women are more and more going forth and taking their place and putting the men into their place. Pointing out that this is not a behavior we can accept no longer. To see some positive moments in that two outcome.
Yeah. I think my greater concern with the outcome of all this is the effect that it's having on the present young people. Yeah. And like you said, women are standing up, but if everything is whitewashed over and the old boys club ratifies him, that's saying to all the boys, do what you want, because even when you grow up, it's okay. The other guys will, take your back and support you.
The white privileged boys.
Yes, the white privileged boys. And it's saying to young women, yes, you can raise your voice and speak up, and women will support you. But at the end of the day, the old boys club is going to squash you. Yeah. And so it's the effect on the young people that is much more concerning to me.
Yeah, that's what I very much wanted to resonate with, and also because this is made international, just watching and hearing it makes an imprint.
Yeah.
I just remember I grew up watching a lot of physically violent parliamentary debates in Taiwan. So immediate, and it's kind of crazy. It's like this ruckus, right? But for the conservative Singapore mind, it's like, oh, that's what democracy looks like. I mean, as opposed to Singapore Parliament where you kind of sleep through it. There's no debate. But so this is the picture of democracy or truth or justice. I don't know what that means for the American generation. I mean, and for young people overseas who see this, it's like, okay.
Yeah, if this is what democracy is, do we want democracy with all its messiness and stickiness and bullying and so on? Yeah.
Or that no one's coming forward to uphold the values that people genuinely care about. I think that's the very painful piece.
Yeah.
When it's so public and no one's speaking up for the truth.
Yeah. There was one senator, one of the women, who was trying to do that. But Kavanaugh kept repeating himself on, and I kept wishing she would interrupt him more. But she didn't. I think it might have been the senator from, do you know who it was? I was thinking it might have been her representative, but the representative wouldn't be at their. Yeah, it might have been the Hawaiian. Yeah.
She was very articulate, and she also was showing good manners.
Yeah, she had very good manners. And Cory Booker was very good too.
So, from what I hear, it leads me to believe that they might have been coached on exactly how to
for sure.
Handle the questions, because it's a very used tactic of public speaking, that when you want a message to be recorded deeply in your audience's mind, you just repeat it over and over and over and over. And so it sounds like that's what he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Also because he didn't know what else to say. Yeah, he didn't want to answer the question. So, yeah, he repeated it to get it into people's minds, but also because he was really at a loss.
Someone online made a comment. They said that it seems that young people are turning into hating each other more, and we seem to get sorting everyone into two teams and are taught to hate whoever is wrong.
Yeah,
I guess
Yeah.
they agree with this imprint on young people.
right. And, when this behavior is modeled in adults who are supposed to be the people who are working for the benefit of the country, and this behavior is modeled in them, then young people go, well, if they can talk like that, I can talk like that too. Okay, so this has to, for us, be more reason, like I said, why we observe our physical, verbal, and mental actions and really monitor them and really come back to our motivation again and again and again without the key is what you can see with these with what went on, especially in the afternoon, is people have no idea of karma and they have no idea of past and future lives. So when you're only concerned about this life and your reputation this life, especially your reputation, which involves your money, what's going on in your marriage, everything else, then you have no karma is out the window, because upholding your good name becomes the overall concern no matter what. And so truth gets lost in that. And it may not even be because people are thinking, I am lying. It's because they change how they're describing the situation to themselves. Yeah. So I don't think, I think Kavanaugh wouldn't say I'm lying. I mean, that thing that he said at the end, I'm telling the truth. But when your emotions are flared up and your happiness of this life is at stake, and especially if you've lived a life of privilege and entitlement, then your idea of what happened is skewed, gets skewed.
One of the things we were discussing at our little lunchtime group was that it sounds like he was very drunk. And when you're drunk, you do things and you don't remember afterwards. So it's also quite possible he has no memory of what he actually did.
Yeah. And I wish that point had been brought out more. Yeah, because it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.